the marinas there. Man, that's beautiful, isn't it? This morning, we continue our conversation on how to choose the right listing agent. Boy, this is so important. It's such an important relationship. The Noble agent, Ken Kaplan, joins us. Ken, good morning.
Good morning.
It really becomes a bond and a special relationship with the agent and the person trying to sell a house, isn't it?
It should.
Yeah.
I mean, it should. It's like doctor's bedside manner.
Right.
I mean, you want to have a connection there, but you also want somebody who's good. So, I mean, that's kind of the fine line. You know, the personality may not match up the best,
right,
but who's going to do the best for you?
Who's going to do the best job? That's very true. Okay, so we have questions that we all need to ask. 5 questions if you're trying to sell your home, and you need to pick an agent. Number 1, the first question should be what?
Oh, I would say probably the first question is how long they've been in the business.
Okay.
What's their experience? Okay. I mean, just because they're a more experienced agent, does that make them a better choice for you?
Right.
Maybe you're better off with somebody who's a newer agent, who's hungrier than this person who's been in the business for so long. I was in the green room, I was talking with a gentleman from Faith Matters, and we were talking about, okay, well, let's talk about this. What about the people who you hire who've got this huge team, and you meet the person they say you're going to be your agent, and you never see them again at all?
Exactly.
What are you getting from this agent who's been, in the business for so long? And like we said, just maybe it's somebody who's a go-getter.
I'm glad you brought this up because a lot of people they look at the experience of the person and immediately go with somebody who's been in the business 20 years. But then the younger people who are hungry and have more drive, that's where that connection comes in.
Yeah, and they may have other ideas that the let's say dinosaur agent who's been doing it the same way forever and ever doesn't think about. You know what I mean? Maybe they've got some new marketing things or internet tools that somebody else has not been using.
Okay, another question you say to ask is how many transactions have they closed?
This is important because you need to know what's their experience. I mean, really, what do they know about your area? I mean, what have they done recently? What have they done in the past year? If they're newer, what has their office done recently in your area? I mean, how well versed are they in your area? Do they know, let's say you're in Kensington, do they know the streets? What's better? What's not as good?
Knowing your neighborhood's important.
It is, and then the other question is, do you want to take somebody who only works that area, who specifically goes, okay, I only do this area, or do you want to work with somebody who is working the entire county, who can bring people in who may not have thought of that area of town that you were, you're going to sell your house in?
Because there's more to knowing the neighborhood than just doing comps.
Absolutely, and is that agent just trying to protect their market? That's important, and they need to protect you first.
Okay, next question, number 3. What's their assessment of my property? So they walk in.
Give me some feedback, good, bad, otherwise. I mean, give me an honest set of criteria, what you think this house needs to sell and why. And what's sold. I mean, tell me, not what's sold. I mean, I want to know what the comparable sales are, not what's pending, not what's active. Okay, I know what my competition is, but what is sold that I can say, okay, I can take this to the bank. This is what is sold. Here's where it is. Here are the pros and cons of each of those houses. Here are the pros and cons of your house.
This is where the personality comes in because you have to be honest with the person selling the house. If you have a bunch of family pictures or this or that, it becomes very personal. If you tell the potential buyers don't want to see certain things and you got to change this, tweak that.
Be with an agent who's going to be honest with you, who's going to be direct enough with you to placate you, but also make sure that you're not overcluttering your house. You know what I mean? If this wall is bright pink and you love bright pink, and they're going, this is going to turn some people off. Respect the fact that they're going to be honest with you.
The buyers have to see themselves in your house. They don't want to see you.
And they can't always see past them.
Marketing, you brought this up a few seconds ago. What kind of marketing do they plan to use? My parents actually, when they sold their house a couple years ago, went through this, and the first agent didn't do what we all considered proper marketing of their home in terms of taking the right pictures and doing internet. And then the second agent we got, brilliant. They took professional photographs. They put it all over the internet. They did social media. It's a big difference. That's a new question to ask.
What they tell you they're going to do and what they've done is really critical. So, fine, okay, this is what you're going to do. Give me some examples. Show me on the computer where you've done this with other listings. Show me how you've given descriptions under every single picture. Show me how your market time on what you've been, selling is lower than everybody else. And why? Is it because you're lowballing it and putting it down at a price where it's artificially low and you're bringing in buyers, or is it because your marketing is so good?
Does it really make a difference? I always walk around the neighborhood, and I love this kind of stuff. And then I look at the flyers, and there's just like the black and white paper ones, and then there's the fancy, glossy, nice ones. And sometimes, does that really make a difference, or can the house sell itself without Well, you know what I'm saying? Because it looks better when it's glossy.
A house is only worth what a ready, willing, and able buyer is going to pay for it. Not what you say it's worth or I say it's worth or anybody. But the bottom line is it is part about flash. It is part about marketing. And if it gets that person to stop at that post, that's on that open house sign, you know what I mean, then it worked.
Okay, here's the last one. This is where it could get a little awkward.
Okay.
But you got to get over this.
No.
Right? Commission.
Yep.
Can you ask, hey, can you cut me some slack? Can you maybe look, or is it the standard 6%? Can you
real estate agents don't want to hear this.
They don't.
Okay, so I know there's a ton of
agents. There we go. This is no bull right here.
Commissions are negotiable, but think about it this way: if commissions are negotiable, you get what you pay for. Last thing I've heard from anybody who's having a heart attack was
explain what.
Commissions are negotiable, but you get what you pay for.
Okay.
If you get a guy who says, fine, I'll do it for blank percentage, and it's that much lower than what everybody else is doing, you're going, wait a second, how are you doing it for that? Why are you doing it for that? If they're not willing or they're unable to negotiate that well on their own behalf, you got to think, how good of a negotiator are they going to be on your behalf? Then the other part of it is, just because somebody tells you they're going to do it for that, what are you giving up in between for that? There's a happy medium between the guy who comes in and says, oh, I'll do it for this percentage, and the guy who says, I'm not coming off my price. Fine. Well, the guy who says, why aren't, who's not coming off his price on commission, why? Tell me why you're worth it. Why should I pay you an extra blank? I mean, you got to negotiate.
What is the standard? Is it still 6%?
Yeah, 6. Yeah. It's been 6. There's people doing it for 5. They're the ones who, were saying they do it for this 1% or that percent. I mean, you get what you pay for. And I've never heard anybody say, I'm having a heart attack, get me to the cheapest cardiologist you can find. You know what I mean? That's
a good point. That's a good point. That's why he's a no bull agent. I tell you what, Ken Kaplan, we thank you.
My pleasure.
Of course. Man. Give me want to jump online and look at houses.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, we should do that one time. Chrissy, over to you.
Raul loves houses.
I do.
He loves houses. All right.